Cardiopulmonary resuscitation. Most people think that people being unconscious isn't a big deal, that they'll wake up soon. But that's wrong. Just because they're unconscious doesn't mean they're going to wake up right after. They could have gone into cardiac arrest. If a person you see is unconscious for a long period of time, it can cause very damaging health problems. It can cause many bad things to happen along their lifetime if they do recover well enough. Having been CPR trained my freshman year and one more time my junior year last year by my ER nurse teacher, I say I have enough experience and knowledge to be able to tell my audience, you guys, how to properly perform CPR. Saving time for the paramedics is going to be very helpful for them and be able to save more time for the victims who are unconscious or have experienced cardiac arrest in their lifetime. Jumping in, what is CPR? And how will my audience be able to use this information in the future to help save more lives? Cardiopulmonary resuscitation, also known as CPR, has been around for many years and has increased its number in people who are trained to do it, and now many bystanders are being trained how to do it to save more lives. Starting in the early 60s, CPR was created by Copenhagen, Jude, and Kirk Scherbacher. This pretty much all started with their studies on animals. Their animal studies is what helped them create CPR and modern day CPR as we know it. During the same year, a combination of closed chest compressions and rescue breathing was introduced. This is where modern day CPR was made. This is what we know as CPR. And this is where our modern day technology and knowledge was born and has continued to grow over the last 50 years since CPR was created. And behind me, these are the three brothers. The picture might not be clear enough. I might have to fix that. But here we have our brothers who created CPR. Who would have thought saving people would come from studying animals? Weird, right? But very, very helpful. Thanks to these people, we have modern day CPR and the steps to help perform and save lives. The steps are easy but very complex. Like I said, they're easy to remember too. So this will be very helpful in the near future whenever you come across an unconscious person. There are a total of 7 steps that come with performing CPR. And in this first slide, we'll be covering 4, and then the next slide, we'll be covering the last 3. The first step, the very first thing you have to do is scene safety. Make sure the scene around you is safe. Make sure they aren't, some people could be faking it to get you close enough to probably hurt you, harm others around them. So you want to make sure that the scene is safe. Make sure there's nothing going on around you and that you are safe and that the unresponsive patient is safe. Once you have this done, make sure they are unresponsive. When you confirm that the patient is unresponsive, call 911 immediately. That is the first thing you must do. And once 911 is dialed, you yourself have to order someone else of the people around you to go get an AED. Then you want to place that unresponsive person on a hard surface. If they already are, then that's fine. But if they're on a bed or something soft, you cannot do CPR on there because it will do absolutely nothing. So move them to a hard surface. Once you have moved them to a hard surface, you want to place your least dominant hand on the person's chest right here in the middle. And you want to put your dominant hand on top and interlock your fingers. You want to have it like that. Once your hand are on the person's chest, you want to make sure your elbows are locked. This is when you give 30 compressions at 100 to 120 beats per minute. If you need help with figuring out how fast this goes, you can always listen to Staying Alive by Beast Cheese. That is the exact tempo that they use for CPR. That's what I learned when my teacher taught it to me. So I think it's very helpful to listen to that. Obviously not in like a very dangerous situation, but you want to remember that for like future reference. Once the compressions are done, you want to give them 2 breaths. To do this, you want to lift up their chin to make sure the airway is nice and open for you to give those breaths. To be sure that they are receiving your breaths, you must see their chest rise and fall each time you blow your breath into their lungs. Repeat this 30-to-2 ratio until an AED or paramedics arrive. And here is the second slide of the last final 3 steps. And see, the picture might not be so clear, but here they're on a hard surface and their dominant hand is interlocked with their bottom hand. and their elbows are completely straight. That's one thing you must remember. Not so many steps for something so important. However, proceeding to do CPR on the unconscious person will help recover them quicker, will help aid in the recovery. Performing CPR as a bystander can help increase the recovery rate of survivors rather than those who do not receive CPR. A very big difference for something so small, for something people don't really pay attention to, something so important. Without even realizing it, bystander CPR is one of the most important things to do if you see someone laying unconscious on the floor. There is little time to act before something serious and something very dangerous to happen to the patient who's unconscious. If you see someone sitting or laying down who's unconscious, you must remember that whenever they are unconscious, there is no blood circulating throughout their body whatsoever. And there is no blood to deliver oxygen to the brains or the organs, which means death is just minutes away for them. So you must act fast. And here we have statistics. For those who did receive CPR from a bystander, were nearly 40%, that's 40%, more likely to go back to work compared to those who do not receive CPR whatsoever. The statistics given for CPR done by bystanders is crazy to see how big of a difference there is from when someone performs it and they recover quick compared to those who don't get CPR whatsoever by bystanders. There's a very big difference. And many people who don't get CPR have very deadly and very bad things happen to them. Some things can damage their brain and they can come out, sometimes they can come out as a vegetable, and we don't want that. We want people to perform CPR and come out as new, to be happy and healthy by the CPR that bystanders have performed on them. Throughout the process of CPR, you must remember that time is not on your side, that you must act fast to be able to do something to help the person who is unconscious. You must also act rational to be able to help the person in need. The time you save for paramedics for them to be able to provide the proper care and to transport them to hospitals is very important to them, and it makes it more efficient for them when they arrive. So that way the patient has more strength to keep pushing on. Without the help of us bystanders, the paramedics will have to take extra time to make sure that the patient is in stable condition. CPR is something very important and very big, so that every person should know to use it later in their life. If something does happen in the future, they will know how to do it and how to do it properly. Being able to aid in the recovery and care process of an unconscious person is always something nice because you are able to help them continue on with their lives and make sure they're healthy and that nothing bad happens to them. Thank you all for listening, and put this knowledge to good use, and have a good day.